Christian Angels right here in the Midnight Love Garden with Miss Koko Bowden on the Filipinas Teleradio. Hey y'all, I know y'all have been waiting all night for this one right here. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much. Much love to all of you, especially my third shift workers out there. Be sure that you are praying before you even leave the house, because those roads are dangerous. Here in North Carolina, we got a lot of snow and we got a lot of bad roads. There's a lot of schools out. So be careful out there this morning or this evening or night, whatever area that you are from. All right, y'all. So it is time for the Relationship 411. Why do women keep choosing the bad men? Why do good women choose bad men? Y'all know this is so crazy. You know, I asked this question on Facebook and I got several different answers. Some said spirits are the same. Some said because the women don't know themselves. And you know, it was a whole bunch of stuff said. But when we look at it really, when we are women that are choosing bad men, and I look at myself as an example, when I chose my bad man, it was because I wanted him. It wasn't, of course, I didn't know all that I know now, but I knew that was the risk that I wanted to take because it was excitement. It was so much excitement with by being with a bad guy. You know, just the thought of somebody saying, look at her, she's with that bad guy. You know, I had a big old ego thing going on. And so that allowed me to stay in the relationship and, you know, to continue trying to play that role of being the bad chick on his arm. You know, everybody wants to feel like they have an important role. So some of the reasons, though, that women keep falling for the wrong guy is fear. I mean, let's be honest. When you think of single, and whenever people hear the word single, they think that that's a bad word. They think that, you know, you're not going to be able to date anybody, and, you know, you're prone to date people that, you know, excuse me, you think that you really have to stay in that position and not be happy. I don't know why people think being single means that you have to be sad all the time, because it's not. Because when you know how to enjoy your own company, you know, you don't have to worry about that fear. When you know how to build your own independence and have a fulfilling life, whether you're with a partner or not, that's a blessing. But when you start feeling anxious or afraid to be alone, you don't have enough strength to really develop any character in your downtime. You don't have any clarity to who you are. And, you know, it causes you to be desperate. Instead of having strength to, you know, live out your single days happy, you have desperation. So that's one of the reasons why we run to the bad men is because we have that fear of being alone. And we just really want what we want so that we don't have to admit to ourselves our flaws and discover that we're not actually who we thought we was and that we're not as young as we used to be, you know. And another thing is, you haven't given any thought to your relationship deal breakers. And in other words, you haven't really sat down long enough with yourself to understand what things you will tolerate and what things you won't tolerate in a relationship. So therefore, whenever it comes down to it, you just settle for whoever wants you, whoever you think will make you look good and feel like that ego boost that I was talking about. So before you fall for Mr. Wrong all over again, do some thinking about your values, what you want in a partner, and which things would break the deal for you. In other words, what are some things that you're just not willing to tolerate anymore? You're going to have to sit down and have the talk with yourself. No, mama, daddy can't do it. You got to have the talk with yourself. No, friends can't do it. You got to have the talk with yourself and find out what your deal breakers are. What are you willing to accept? What aren't you willing to accept? And the third thing is, you think you can change a person. Okay. And I was like that too. I thought, wow. Well, at the time you're not thinking about it, but eventually you are kind of feeling like you're this superhero to him. Like whatever he's got going on in his life, I'm going to be the one to fix it. I'm going to be able to change everything. He's not going to have to do anything. He's going to see me as such a good woman, such a hero in his eyes. And no matter how hard you try, you still keep coming up with the short end of the stick. Because you keep trying to save somebody that you just don't realize that you can't love away a person's problem. You can love the person, but whatever problems and issues that they got going on, you cannot solve them. You can't solve them. It takes a higher power than you. So if you are already saying to yourself that you can change him, think about what that really means. It means that he has smashed right up against one of your deal breakers already. He won't change. You will give up one of your core values in trying to change him, and there will only be conflict and more heartbreak at the end. You can't do it. In order to fit into somebody's world, if you're not meant to be, you're going to have to give up everything that you stand for, everything that you believe in, just to try and satisfy and fix this guy who probably ain't going to stay with you. And if he is going to stay with you, it's probably for room, for shelter and food or money. Honestly, just being real with you right there on that. If you give up your core values for someone, that means that you already have pretty much then lost the battle. All right, number 4 is you haven't figured out what you need in life, independent of relationships. Listen, you can't change him, but you can change the inner you. You can change the things that you want in life. You can change how you look at life. If you don't change who you are on the inside, you will continue to attract and draw the same type of person. Listen, for example, if he's a mother's boy, then you're going to continue to attract and draw mother's boys. I've had that. Listen, I had that like 3 or 4 times. I was wondering, and I never saw it till I got things clear in my mind and in my heart, the things that I really wanted out of life. But what I saw was every time I was getting in a relationship, I ended up getting in a relationship with someone who was living at home with their mom. Someone who didn't have to hold any accountability or any responsibility for anything. And I know a lot of people say that comes from daddy issues and stuff like that. But I love my daddy. So I wasn't trying to find anybody like my daddy. I was just trying to the date. So it's an old dating pattern that you have to look inside of yourself and correct. Otherwise, you're going to continue dating the wrong type of guy. And you might continually fall for a guy who treats you like a little girl and not even recognize what your purpose is in this world. If we don't pay attention to what our core issues are, the lessons just keep getting louder and the guys get worse. Address your own issues and you'll attract guys who considerably have less baggage themselves. So when you start working on you, you'll start attracting different people because you'll start seeing different. You'll start speaking different. You'll start wanting different. You won't just be sitting back settling for who you saw at the club last night, who you saw at church, just because he had a nice voice or he was a musician. You won't no longer fall for those things. And it's sad to say, but a lot of women in church today, they fall for the simple fact that he's got pretty white teeth and that he plays an instrument or that he travels with a band. You know how us ladies are. We love guys who are in bands. They have something like a bad vibe to them, and we know this, but yet we continue to seek bad men because we yet don't know who we are on the inside. Okay, the 5th thing is you choose guys who have similar qualities. We gravitate towards what we are familiar with. But if what you're familiar with is men with, the drama of trying to hold down a job or, like I said, stand with the parents if you are gravitating toward the guy who loves to just ask people for money, and the guy who is known for hurting people, then it goes against your logic to keep choosing these guys. Every time you choose the wrong man, a piece of you leaves. A piece of you leaves that you have to try to find over and over and over again. And through God's grace, even when that piece leaves, God gives us back greater. But it hurts. So you have to pay attention to who you are drawing in, and pay attention to those little small things that we tend to overlook when we get the big eyes for someone. When we have a crush for someone, we tend to overlook the facts that they don't have jobs, that it's like small things. It's right there in our face, but we overlook the fact that maybe he didn't buy you nothing to eat whenever y'all was together out dating, or maybe he had you to pay for your own food while y'all was out. Maybe he didn't hold the door open. Maybe he was giving you signs all along that, you just wasn't cutting it for him. But you, again, want to play the hero and the savior, so you fall for it again. So you need to go back to your values, reevaluate your values. The sixth thing is, you may be afraid of commitment without even realizing it. Honestly, I realized right time I got into a relationship last year, which was my first relationship that I had been in 7 years, I realized that I had commitment issues. I wanted the relationship. I wanted the man. Everything was good. We had good conversations. We were able to go out and enjoy one another's company. But when it came down to the actual commitment, I couldn't follow through on my end because I was still dealing with some things on my own. So you got to look at yourself and say, why can't I commit to someone who's good? Why am I choosing the bad guy? And that's why a lot of women choose the bad guy, because they have underlying commitment troubles. Can't understand why you're continuously drawn to those grown man boys. Those grown man boys who have commitment issues too. So you see, two likes draw to each other. Both